How do I incorporate my essence, which is done by John Kitchener, into my style relating to my 8-shaped body? When I do personality quizzes, I get more classic than what I got with Kitchener, which was the yin styles of ingenue and romantic. So Kitchener was one of the first people to go out and create a set of style personalities and style that are related to yin and yang. But I find some of his descriptions quite weird because he puts he says that like there's dramatic is yang and natural is yang versus classic is a combo. And then we've got our romantic and our ingenue or our yin. Now, what I find weird is classic, when you actually look at what is yin and what is yang, when we look at the elements of design, and I've got lots of blog posts about yin and yang. When we look at the elements of design, classic clothes are actually very yang. I do not understand why he puts it as a combination, because they're actually yang. And this is where the word classic is bandied about in the fashion world and used in about 400 different ways. So what he may mean by classic may be is different from what I mean by classic, which is also different from classic when we are talking about fashion classics. Fashion classics are clothes that don't change much over time. So we think a Breton t-shirt doesn't change that much. A trench coat doesn't change that much, but they are not classic personality style clothes, which come from the men's corporate suiting world. They are not classic in that personality sense. So I'm assuming he means the personality sense, but I am not sure. But what I look here is, so supposedly Kitchener's theories was that when you repeat the lines and shapes that are within you, you look in most harmony. Now, he then categorizes people into these categories and says that's what you should wear. But he's only looking at your physicality. He doesn't actually look at your personality as well. And so this is where I have a bit of an issue with it. And he doesn't look at your likes and dislikes, which also I have an issue with. Really, you can use the concepts of yin and yang. They are brilliant concepts to help you understand what works for you and how you can communicate with clothes. So what you want to understand is, what are you physically? So what is your physical essence? So your physical essence, by the sound of it, is more yin. It's more curved, more feminine. Then what we want to think about with that is, so we may want, and you've got an 8-shaped body, which is a body that have a waist, but with an 8-shaped body, we are thinking more it's still got some curve to it. It's a column, but it's the waisted column. So it means it comes in at the waist. It defines that waist. So it's still an hourglass. It's just not the fit and flare version of the hourglass. So it still has that element of yin there, but it has a little element of yang. But also too is it's what are the fabrics? So what are the design elements? All those other things come into when we're making these choices about what suits our body. So you might find a softer fabric rather than a really stiff fabric. There's those sorts of design elements, but also we want to think about personality. And what is your personality? And that's what he doesn't look at. He just does it based purely on physicality versus he doesn't know you, how you move, how you think, what your personality is. And so they are really important, and they're also an important part of yin and yang when we're using this in a style sense. So if you actually look on the blog posts I have about yin and yang, of which I have many, just search up yin and yang on the blog, you will find them. You can actually start to identify elements of your own yin and yang. And how you can then look at the different elements of design to be able to then choose what it is that suits you. Now, Sharon's just said, I think clothes are the description of one's personality. Whatever you are and what you want to wish to project is able to be done by your choice of clothes. Yeah. So this is where it's that choice of how you actually want to project, what you want to project, how you want to put yourself out there. And so we always want to bring our personality in, but we don't have to box ourselves up into these very kind of small tight boxes. And generally, the thing I've noticed when I've had clients come to me who've been given one of these sort of, this is what I was given, but I don't feel it quite fits. And it's because it's not taking the whole them into consideration. So I always think we want to actually look at what are the elements of design I like. So I have like when you think about, like, do we like really structured clothes versus do we like really soft clothes? Or do we like softly structured clothes? There's so many things between yin and yang. Think about them as a spectrum. There's super yang and there's super yin and there's everything in between. And we don't have to limit ourselves to just these 6 or 7 specific personality dressing styles, which he created. And I really believe we are a combination of different things, and how we put them together is based on who we are. So body is just one aspect, and body shape is just one aspect of physicality as well. We've got our body shape, we've got our body proportions, we've got our body variations, we've got our scale. And then we also have our facial features, if they're larger or smaller, if they are more curved or more angular, or a combination of the two. How is our hair curly or straight, and how do we choose to wear it? There's a lot of different elements of design within us, beyond body as well, that are going to influence the choices we make. So we might have a very curvy body, but maybe we've got a very straight, structured face. We need to balance the two of those things. And then what is our personality? Now, our personality may be very bold, which means we need a much more dramatic or more yang style. But we've got this very curvy, a curvy sort of yin body. So this is where we want to think about balancing those two things. And this can come down to the fabrics, the patterns. There's so many different things we can choose. And so this is why I find that I don't like to block people into a very specific set of personality traits. I believe we are all a combination, and it's how you choose, what you choose, and also your lifestyle, your culture, where you live, your workplace, the things you do. These also come into it, and how we want to express ourselves as well. So there's so much to this. It's a kind of a big thing. And in fact, there's a lot in my 7 Steps to Style program that I go even deeper into the yin yang and understanding how we can interpret that and how we can use that in the choices we make. But they are personal choices rather than having a limited set of kind of options available to us because they have been defined by somebody else. So I really believe we want to go deeper than those sort of just kind of boxed in things and actually develop our own set of guidelines rather than necessarily relying on somebody else. So if I think whenever you go, like, this is not quite working for me, it's because it doesn't really hit you on the, not hit you on the head, but it doesn't really, there's something at odds with who you are, which is why we need to look and create our own set of guidelines. So I know I haven't really answered your question, but I do think that that there is something at odds here with what you've been given and who you really are, your body, your face, and as well as your personality, all the elements of you.